a situation where you find that a person look at the situation.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying. We go straight into the dailies this morning to have a sense of the stories on the front pages of our newspapers. This morning, we have in the studio our guest reviewer, Ben Shemang, Director of News, Voice of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak.
Thank you, Ilya. Once again, always a pleasure.
You're welcome. All right, now let's begin with Daily Trust newspaper. It leads with this story that says Hajj. 5 days to deadline, less than half of Nigerian pilgrims are lifted. The writer says Saudi Arabia rejects request for additional slots. Intended pilgrims protest in Kano. Operators 3.3 billion naira hanging. And then you also have, beside the pictorial there, well, by the way, the pictorial shows you the intending pilgrims protest exclusion in Kano yesterday. They are agitating that they need more seats to be allocated to Kano State, as that the available seats did not accommodate all of them that have paid to be lifted. Now, you also have, beside that, Niger Insurance Standard Alliance lose licenses over failure to settle claims. No going back on self-defense. Matawale, 2 hit by stray bullets in Army-police clash in Bayelsa. You also have, below that, aftermath of APC primaries. Buhari weighs in as 22 aggrieved senators insist on defection. 75 court cases trail exercise in states. Ruling parties' control of parliament threatened. And then above the lead story, bandits sack 30 Zamfara communities, issue quit notice to 5 plateau villages. NCDC puts Nigerians on monkeypox red alert. PDP backs Media Trust 2023 elections debate. These are the top stories on our papers today, the Daily Trust.
Now let's look at the top stories on the leadership newspapers. It has a lead story that says, aftermath of primaries, save APC from collapse. PMB begs aggrieved senators, others. There's a rider that says, party must not lose majority status in NAS. Leaves for Portugal to attend UN Ocean Conference. We will still amend Electoral Act before 2023 polls. That is coming from the Senate President. Then at the top, we have a story that says, Nigeria generates 200 billion naira, $7 million from marginal field sales. And up right above the masthead, Matawale signs anti-banditry, kidnapping, cattle rustling bill. Zulhijjah, Sultan asks Muslims to look out for new moon. And we also have another story here that says, 8 years after Jonathan seeks implementation of the 2014 Confab report. Also, at the left-hand side of the paper, there is a story that court dismisses Kanu's fresh bail application. Organ harvesting, reps vow to ensure justice for Ekweremadu, wife. Then there's also another story there that says, federal government raises tax on tobacco products to 30%. Those are the major stories on leadership for today.
All right, now, if you take a look at the national economy, this first story there at the very top, you see operational cost forced firms to prune down workforce by 40%. That's according to Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. The lead story says investors seek better yields as 17.6% inflation subdues fixed income investments. And then at the very bottom there, marginal fields, NUPRC awards licenses to Matrix Energy, 160 others. NICOM revokes licenses of Niger Insurance Standard Alliance. So That's that for the national economy.
And the Guardian newspaper leads with a story that says, Nigeria risk financial blockade, frosty relations with funders. And there's a rider there that says, World Bank calls for sovereign debt charges ahead of looming recession. That's at the top. There's a story there that says, NICOM revokes licenses of 2 insurance firms, appoints receivers liquidators. WHO wants monkeypox could become pandemic like COVID-19. There's another story there that says, APC Guba aspirant sues coal, wants Rivers primary cancelled. Tension in Delta as soldiers guarding oil export terminal kill youth. Still on Zamfara State, there's a story there that says, Matawale signs banditry bill into law, explains call for self-defense. And at the right at the bottom, it's another story. TUC issues strike notice to fire me over unpaid workers' salary arrears, others. Those are the major stories on The Guardian.
If you take a look at the Nation newspaper this morning, it leads with political story. It says, how APC governors edged us out by aggrieved senators. You'd find the rider that says, Buhari dangles carrot at meeting with 15 senators. Kalu defection now ruled out. You also have above the masthead, Senate to probe allegations against ex-CJN. Why Kanu will remain in custody till November 14 by judge. And then 2 insurance firms lose operating licenses. Tinubu hails acting CJN Ariwola's appointment. You also have marginal oil fields beat nets 200 billion naira and $7 million. Banditry, Matawale insists residents must carry guns in self-defense. So these are the stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
And for the Punch newspaper, their lead story is a bit different from the other papers. It says, ex-CJN to get 2.5 billion naira benefits as Senate begins a corruption probe. It has a rider that says, retired CJN entitled to gratuity that's 300% of 3.36 trillion annual basic. This is based on an investigation. His earnings will be intact. He's entitled to official cars, houses, says NJC source. Mohammed battling condition before appointment. Visits Dubai for treatment. This is from a source. We also have a story there, a pictorial actually, which depicts Edo pupils learning on bare floor. Communities seeks government's help. And there's another story here that says, strike. Abiodun, that's the Ogun State governor, meets labor today, laments cash crunch. Then there's also another story here, exercise restraints. Buhari tells aggrieved senators. And right at the top of the masthead, we have, we will apply diplomatic pressure to help Ekweremadu. This is coming from the reps. There's also another story there. Aggrieved aspirants reject INEC's list, begin multiple court cases. 13 marginal fields dormant. FG awards 57 to new investors. These are the major stories on the Punch for today.
All right, that's that for the papers. Let's now get perspectives on some of the stories. Apparently, we have more political stories dominating the front pages this morning, particularly as regards the crisis in the APC. But something worrisome is happening down south, and I would like to comment on that. Take a look at page 28 of the Daily Trust newspaper. It talks about 2 hit by stray bullets in Army Police clash in Bayelsa State. And then in Delta State as well, we're hearing that the tension a soldier guarding oil export terminal killed a youth. We are talking 3 innocent people now killed by soldiers. I mean, apparently this is not talking about self-defense or anything like that. So this is extrajudicial, we could say, because First of all, the clash between the police and the army, it is now a recurring phenomenon. You know, we've always seen this clash, and most times it has to do with, you know, soldiers disobeying traffic regulations or the other way around. This time around, a soldier is trying to beat the traffic, and then you have vigilante boys who are controlling the traffic, you know, usually in collaboration with the police, and then before you know what's happening, the soldier opens fire and 2 people are killed.
Very unfortunate that such things happen. There's always what is called interagency collaboration. And this is purely within, it's not even during operations. This is within a civil kind of a duty, where some disagreements will just occur. And how does it occur? I want to pass. No, wait till it's your turn. No, I have a superior power, a kind of a thing. And recall that during Governor Fashola's days as governor of Lagos State, a colonel was driving against traffic, and the governor's convoy was also moving at that point in time. He just stopped and said, "Look, Colonel, you just have to follow us to the office."
In fact, yesterday, we saw a video that went viral on social media where the governor of Lagos, Sanwo-Olu, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, asked his security aides to arrest a soldier who was actually driving against traffic. So it happened again.
Exactly, and that tells you the power of the civilian. Power belongs to the people, not to those who indeed hold the gun. But having said so, I think that there is this innermost feeling in us. If you have the gun, it does not mean you have every power. Therefore, it is the story of, if you want to live, let another person live. We should not, exercise what you call undue power, unnecessarily. Now you can see the consequences.
But
Innocent people
what has
dying.
happened in the past in similar cases like that? What happens to the disciplinary measures that ordinarily the army should be taking against its personnel for behaving in such a manner? You know, and if, you know, previous cases have been dealt with, where then do they get the guts to actually continue in this?
Well, you see, human beings are different. If you check, those days that armed robbers were always tied to a stake and shot, it has not stopped armed robbery. But there's just these things, some people just feel, look, I can do it and nothing will happen. In terms of trials, yes, there were instances where the military would do a dismissal and say, now go face your, police will now take over, do your prosecution. But a situation where at the point they say, well, we're going to do our own court martial, and they do it over there, at the point, some people don't get to know the end result. But it's always better. This is a murder case. Is now the commissioner of police versus the alleged murderer, who indeed will have to go prove his innocence or otherwise, so that the law will always take its course.
But the thing is this rivalry between the soldiers and the police, is it doing the country any good?
In fact, it's really not just about soldiers and police. You also have civil defense versus the police. At the point you have the police versus customs.
Should we have any rivalry amongst them?
It shouldn't be, because there's always what they call interagency meetings. At the point they try to sort out some of these things. At the point they try to know when there is joint operation, what should this agency do? What's the limitation of this one? Where this one starts, the other one and stops here, the other one takes over. So we should expect that, they should imbibe that spirit and know that they are supposed to be pro-Nigerians. They are supposed to be, for the citizens of Nigeria, and not that they want to load it on the Nigerians. Those you seek to protect should really be protected, and not that they become victims. You shouldn't go there and show what we call supremacy. Who indeed is supreme? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be at all. And so I think that they should just imbibe service to humanity, protect life, protect property, and let there be a very stable polity, a stable society.
All right. Well, other stories on the papers this morning. About 22 senators are said to have threatened to defect and leave the APC, and then we had that meeting yesterday between a delegation of the senators with the president, Muhammadu Buhari, where he now intervened. From what we're hearing, that has been put to rest. But again, there are court cases that still in courts, 75 court cases trailing the APC primaries. It doesn't look good for the APC ahead of the 2023 election, is it?
Truly, it doesn't look good. But the 22 that are saying, look, we're threatening to pull out, nobody forced you to join politics. If you feel the system is now injurious to you or you felt, why don't you simply take it that way?
No, they're not saying, they're not feeling.
Just a moment.
No, I'd like you to put it in perspective, because they're not feeling that the system is injurious to them. They're feeling that all of them, most of them are aggrieved because of the outcome of the primaries that was held recently.
Well, you see, it's the system within the party. There are indirect ways of imposing candidates. Look at what you call this, the delegates that did the voting. Were they not controlled by somebody? Were there no coercion by way of use of money? Were there people not monitoring movements of delegates? And so within the system, look at what is happening in Katsina. When they say, look, Katsina State, we are pulling out from APC. What do they say? The party lacks thank you. We keep on working for the party, we don't get rewarded. And of course, when the National Assembly made a law and ensured that ministers and SAs did not vote or never had the powers to vote, I mean, they forgot to also take care of themselves, the lawmakers, to have the power to also vote. And that was why they said, President Buhari, go amend this portion, 84 subsection 12. And the president rejected. And so the governors said, look, if you said the members of the executive should not vote, here you are. You lawmakers, you can't vote. And so if you wake up today and now say governors manipulated, you made the law and the president signed it. The president saw that there was something injurious to some people, both the executive and members of the legislature. Amend this, they refused. Only for them to realize within the shortest time possible, say, no, the president, go do this. And of course, the president, rejected. Some people went to court and said the president should not do it. Now the Supreme Court has said, the president, you don't even have the power after signing. You can't appropriate this kind of a power. You can't say yes and say no at the same time. It's not possible.
Okay, now,
so these are lawmakers who indeed are feeling threatened or it didn't go their way. Some other people who had it are also happy. The Senate President, Machina, is insisting, look, I contested and won. There's nothing like I was holding forth for you to come in case you fell. And of course you have failed. I am here. I was elected. I contested. And so did you contest? So why should I just step down? And so that's when we're talking of new physiologies. You are holding that place and trust. You know.
Okay, now the president has intervened, and it looks like they are shitting their swords, but not necessarily so, because one of them said that yes, they are going to go back and wait to see what will happen, and that if nothing happens, and because time is already running out, they'll have to take action. Do you really think that that meeting was enough?
Yeah, you see, well, in terms of the leader of the party talking of President Muhammadu Buhari, calling people, aggrieved people, look, gentlemen, there's just one seat everyone was eyeing at. Now, if one person wins, so be it. Why don't you accept that? You begin to talk of what we're talking of alignment. Okay, just support us when we win. Some of you will be some SAs, will be chairman of board, you'll be ministers, you'll be all sorts of things. So there's what you call portfolio sharing before the event. So if you don't give them these assurances and you just say, just calm down, everything will be okay, then it's going to be like I've said, the issue of Katsina State, where they said APC is not thanking them enough.
Well, it's not in the place of the president to make certain promises at this point, is it? Looking at the fact that this is his last...
I want to tell you
this is his last tenure. So are there guarantees really when it comes to making promises?
You see, when the president leaves office, he becomes those they call stakeholders. He becomes those they call people indeed the stakeholders of that party who will always be automatic voters at any point in time. Even though right now the act has excluded many of them. But I want to tell you that this is the time for everybody to bring your cards, your demand on the table. If I join you this way, what do I get when we win? If you don't get that written and you allow some people to win, in the end you are now battling from behind to see how it will be too late for you.
But
write some of these agreements.
There's an issue on ground. Most of these senators are complaining of what happened in the primaries that took place in their various states. Now, can the president really change anything in those states?
Well, if really they believe in the president and believe in the party, there's always what we call supremacy of the party. And of course, except where it's very, very clear that the system or what was done was injurious to you. How was it injurious to you? Maybe when you put notice for INEC to go observe the election, and of course, your faction win, and another faction headed by maybe a governor was also did parallel primaries, and there was no INEC to observe. Yet, where the INEC did not observe was declared the winner. So it is a wrong ab initio when you have it that way.
All right, now we have another story on the Punch. The lead story says ex-CJN to get 2.5 billion naira benefit. Senate begins corruption probe. So the former CJN resigned from his office. He's entitled to certain benefits accruing to 2.5 billion naira. But this is a man that resigned under certain circumstances that some people are saying that needs to be investigated and all of that. Should we be still talking about benefits at this point?
Well, he should. These are entitlements that are statutory in nature. If a Chief Justice of Nigeria is leaving office, these are his entitlements. Now, we are not talking of a man who was arrested, tried, convicted, so he becomes an ex-convict. All those rights that you have will have to go. But we are talking of allegation. And remember, 12 justices of the Supreme Court actually flew the kite, and that kite, whether it's the one that swept Tanko away or his health condition is another ballgame altogether. But even the man that is coming on board Ariola, we're hearing that even the day he was born, he spent 1 year and entered primary school. In other words, there's already a case against him as alleged. So if it is true, it means it's a long, long road to freedom. So having said so, if you check, some governors, before they leave offices, which I think is wrong, you now make a law quickly, your entitlements, they must change your cars every three years. You have a house in Abuja that must be built under government coffers or with government coffers. You build at the state level, and in your village house, a home rather, you have another. So yet you come back again, you are a minister. You come back again, you go, you are a senator. Everywhere you have some severance allowances. Some are retired civil servants who indeed you see all sorts of claims here and there. The nation's money is shrinking. They are not looking at this. Everybody is just looking at himself. I before others. It's not just the best for the country.
Okay, still on the Punch. There's a picture there. Edo pupils learning on bare floor. Community seeks government's help. Now, this is actually a common sight in some parts of the country. Should we really be having things like this in the 21st century?
Not at all. I also saw that a picture was snapped by one Stephen Kefas. It has to do with government secondary school, Kakugu, in Lere local government in Kaduna State. You could see blown off roofs all over, and this is rainy season. And here we are in a Edo State, where pupils are seated on bare floor. And I want to also tell you that I've had reasons to go looking for some primaries just across the borders here in Kaduna State after Buhari here. You see that when they were sacking teachers at the point in Kaduna State, you see a whole school, the teachers were sacked. I can take you there and you see them. School teachers were sacked. You go to some schools in Kauru local government around Chori area. I went there, a whole school, 6 classes, only one lady was posted to man the school for 6 classes. And so when you are revamping the education, restructuring the education, it shouldn't just be that you want to get the best of teachers. Check Kaduna State again. Each time you find, in fact, teachers are always having it so hot. They are always, the searchlight is on them. Come for promotion exam, come for certificate verification, come for, okay, they have a new employment, come and write application to receive employment letter. At the point, no, some of these people cannot just write, and continuously, and the system is just failing us. I think that it shouldn't be. And people should also, this nomadic education, what is the status? How many people have graduated from some of these things? So a situation where pupils are seated under a tree on bare floor shouldn't just be. I remember when Yaradua was governor of Katsina State. So we went for media tour, and same thing with Kwankwaso that time. They had a common saying, say, look, if you go around and you see any school that doesn't have a roof, let us know. Anywhere you see children seated under trees and are being taught by any teacher, or they are sitting on stones, please show us the exact place. I so challenge you. So we want to see a situation where some governors will just do some peer review mechanism. What is the best situation in a certain state, in a certain primary school education, because it's the basic. If that is so good in that state, shouldn't some governors go copy and see what they are doing? Right. I think it should be. But the situation where, again, teachers, they say they're giving you part-time jobs. At the point I saw that some governors were looking for volunteer teachers. I mean, why should I train my children to be teachers? Now I've retired. Government is calling on me to go be a volunteer teacher so that I begin to chop my children tomorrow. It shouldn't just be.
All right. Okay. Now let's take a look at another story. On the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, we are saying that the governor of Zamfara State is insisting on his decision for all citizens who are willing to pick up arms and get licensed to defend themselves against bandits' attack. Now we are saying that he has inaugurated 4 committees, 20 vehicles have been dispatched, 1,500 motorbikes have been dispatched to various communities, I believe, to defend themselves. Now, we've heard from the Chief of Defense Staff who said that the governor has no right to give such directives to the Commissioner of Police to give license to residents or the indigenes of the state to defend themselves and all of that. But the government of Zamfara State that they are in talks with the president to enable them achieve this. Where do you see this going?
They are in talks with the president to see how it goes. The president will not sign any executive order because even the Supreme Court has defeated him, Executive Order 9. And again, when the governor, Matawali, just gave the order to Balakorios, the commissioner of police, to ensure it goes beyond the commissioner of police. If you're talking of arming citizens, there has to be a law. Is there a law on ground?
So I want to assume that the governor should know that the commissioner does not have the powers to issue those licenses.
Absolutely,
but the IG does. So perhaps his link to the IG is through the commissioner in the state.
Yes, but you see, they're talking of massive ownership of these guns. as opposed to some individuals applying. Yes, some people can apply. You can apply to have some pump action, not AK-47, to a kind of protect yourself and your immediate family or environment, should there be. But you see, there are controlled items. AK-47, Uzi, they all are controlled items. Therefore, there is a limitation as to which gun should be used. Well, AK-47 is a superior operational vehicle that belongs to either the army or military in general.
Well, the Zamfara state government intends to go about it in a controlled manner, according to what the governor said. They are going to have forms, about 500 of them, and they're going to send them to the 19 local government areas of the state. So those are application forms. The people are going to pick them. So they're going to have an idea of the people that are applying for those guns.
I agree with you, but you see, why don't they go the ways of the Southwest? The entire region just decided to form what they call Amotekun, the leopard. And of course, they're always going into the forests. And before they move with the police and civil defense corps.
But right
so
now, the Amotekun has raised this concern that they are not armed, that they have been seeking to be armed and they are not armed. So at the end of the day, it defeats the whole purpose.
Yes, you see, but there should be a proper starting point. If Zamfara goes alone, I mean, you have Gwari that is also a neighbor. You have Kaduna State that is also a neighbor. See Sokoto. So if we have the entire Northwest zone, 7 states doing this at the same time, and when it's like you blow a whistle, so time, take everybody with speed, surprise, and accuracy, you see that you achieve results. Now, if Zamfara State succeeds, for example, and chases away some of these people, of course they move to Gwari, where indeed in Gwari there are some farms. Before you pass, they're telling you you have to pay.
But for the governor, he is the chief security officer of his own state. He cannot take responsibility for the whole region.
Yes, that's why I said they should come together. There's always this Progressive Governors Forum. Why is it progressive? There's that of Northern Governors Forum. Why is it so? So what are they
if he doesn't get the cooperation of the others, what does he do? Like we had the governor of Kaduna State. He thinks differently about this. He is thinking more about mercenaries, not arming of the indigents in the state. So but you can see the difference.
Let me tell you something. At the point when some people accused former President Goodluck Jonathan of bringing in some mercenary to clear ground for an elections were held in 2015, I mean, if it is possible, I think I should recommend to the federal government of Nigeria. Honestly, these people are holding us to ransom. At the point, see what you've read in the Daily Trust today, that some bandits in Plateau have given 5 villages room to evacuate. If you go to Gwari, they are even saying that Gwari local government of Kaduna State, bandits are saying anybody caught with a political poster is in soup. You don't display. Just a moment, Stella. We should not allow these miscreants to make laws within Nigeria. We should show that we are in charge. We should show that we are the dominant factor. We should show that we are in control.
Which is why,
for instance.
Yes, but you see, for the governor, it's a drop in the ocean. I want it done collectively. If it is done in such a way that some people in authority are saying he is incapable, it's already a problem. I want it by way of negotiation, by way of consultation. You'd have done quite a lot behind the scene, consult these people. What do we do?
But there was a time the governors of the Northwest came together for an agreement on this, and that did not work perfectly. Now, my question is, recently, Governor of Kaduna State called for the use of mercenaries. He was attacked. Now the governor of Zamfara is calling for the arming of the people. He has been attacked. The fact that these people have come up with unconventional means of tackling this problem, doesn't that tell you something?
Yeah, you see, we cannot just continue that way. Not just, also recall that the same Zamfara, Masari in Katsina, at the point they said, look, let us simply sign agreement. Come, bring your AK-47, we'll give you this money. And some of them started.
But we saw how that went. It didn't work.
Of course, it failed. At the point that these guys are deceived. Look, they are a group of deceivers led by Bello Truji. He's there feeling he's an alternate governor. But I want to, if the federal government, state security services, the military, everybody, civil defense corps, I tell you, it is doable. And
but
where it is
looking at the
possible,
fact
can
that the
go,
conventional ways have not
Elia.
worked, shouldn't we be looking elsewhere? The conventional ways have not worked. The security forces that we have on ground are said to be inadequate to be able to cover for all the needs that we have. So if the conventional ways are not working, shouldn't we be adopting unconventional methods of dealing with this?
What does it take for us to recall those who have just retired and are willing? They are available. They are capable. And we provide them with all these things.
Are they actually willing? Are they actually willing?
And are they able to?
These are pensioners who have protested time and time again over their benefits and the rest of them.
In spite of all of this, I want to tell you that if you blow that whistle, we want to recall. After all, check many of these countries. Yes, check many of these countries. That's what you call reservists. And in terms of military training, where is our reserve? These are people you can recall. And if you now feel that there are some people, and I tell you, if the military were to do or is to do what is called a recall, and you see that many people who want to engage you in the next 2 years to clear the bushes, and you see that people will come. And I so recommend, it is doable, rather than every time
Do you really believe that retirees will be able to fight this battle?
Why not? No, honestly, there are some people who indeed are ready. Let them try.
It's not about being ready, it's about being able to do.
Are they familiar with this terrain? Because, you know, there are some experts that have said that this is more of an asymmetric warfare, and it's not something that our retirees are likely familiar with.
See, if you are talking of the desert war, tell me the desert war that is more than Maiduguri and Co. that these soldiers have not done. Is it the Krieg war in the Niger Delta area? Is it the mangrove area? Don't you have marine police? Don't you have amphibious brigades in the army? We have all of them. What is the Navy doing? That's also their area of expertise. So when you say they won't just know the terrain, where are they from? You know, you have people who indeed know these areas like the palms of their hands. And so I think that we'll just sweep it under the carpet to say, no, they will know. Okay, if they don't know, what's the alternative? Even if you were to bring a mercenary from abroad, be it South Africa, America, Russia, or wherever, I want to tell you that they will still have to be led by people who indeed know the terrain. And I want to tell you quickly,
which is why having the indigenous common board is very crucial, isn't it?
My going to the northeast with some of these soldiers, I want to tell you that I've had reason to sleep in the trenches with them, truly. The rain will meet us, cold will meet, every mosquito will meet us there. People get attacked before my very eyes. Soldiers get killed, but I thank God I survived. But I want to tell you that this is also always been done with the civilian JTF. These are areas, youths who indeed know the terrain. Because soldiers will come in from Akwa Ibom, from Sokoto, from Ekiti, and they move to these areas. Mark, the Nigerian military is a mini Nigeria where everyone belongs. But if you don't know the environment, in order to penetrate, you have to have youths around the area who indeed know. And sometimes you also have hunters who hunt. They know every stream, and you do your assessment before you unleash your operations.
All right, thank you so much for your thoughts on this. We'll continue to interrogate these issues as they unveil. We look forward to having you again.
My pleasure.